Alrighty. Well, welcome to Bookalicious, a podcast where two sisters chat about books that we're reading. And today we're reading is our first talk over Elantris, which is a book Candy picked out. So when did you read this first?
So Sanderson is a very well-known fiction writer, and I really love fantasy novels. And I started reading one of his other, he calls it like his epic, a 10 novel epic. And so he's written 4 or 5 of that 10 novel series. And so I read all of those. And I kind of have a thing where it's like every writer has a certain writing style and flair. And it can take a little while to get used to it. So once I get into someone where I'm like, oh, I really like his writing style or whatever, then I want to read all of his books. So I've read almost every single one of Sanderson's books.
Oh, wow.
Elantris is the first one that he got published. It is currently basically a standalone novel. So I thought it would be a really good introduction to his style of writing and the genre without committing us to 10,000 pages. And this was actually one of my favorite books that he's written. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. It is definitely it's not that long, but I could see if you had a 10 book series of books that were all this long. That's a commitment.
That is actually one of his shortest novels.
Oh my gosh.
Most of them are about 1,000 pages.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So why don't you give a quick summary of what you've read so far and your initial thoughts?
Okay, yeah. So right now I got up to chapter 9. And this is good because there's a lot of words that I don't know if I'll remember. So this is good. We're doing a recap. Okay, so basically there's this prince who wakes up one day and he finds out that he has like the plague, basically, which means that he's dead. And his skin was turning black. And they said, oh my gosh, we need to exile you. And so they exile him to the city of Elantris, which used to be this really, powerful and magical city where people were amazing and had special powers. But now it's gone to ruin. And so he gets like exiled there. And the book is like from 3 different perspectives. So like that's one perspective. And then it's also going through Serene, who was a princess in another city that was like betrothed to be married to Raoden, the main character. And anyways, the way the law works, she still has to go over there and like be princess. And now the Raoden's dad is now her dad, but now her husband's dead and she never met him. So that was a bummer. And then the third perspective is from the like religious leader who comes into town, and he's on this mission from what's Jada?
Jordan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. From Jordan, and for like this religious mission from Jada to convert the whole town in 3 months before Jada returns. Yeah, those were the big parts.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good high-level summary for people who are not reading along. The names can get really confusing. So I put together a character glossary for Chrissy, and I think maybe it would be good if we just kind of went through the main characters that we're going to be talking about before we go any further. What do you think?
Yeah, okay. That was one of my things where I'm like, if I could change anything about this book, it would be, I mean, the names are cool, but I feel like they all rhyme and they all start with the same letter. And I couldn't keep any of them straight. So your glossary was very helpful.
Yes. And typically with fantasy novels, that is the most confusing part, is that it's a whole new world. You don't have anything to anchor it to, and you're trying to imagine what this looks like. So newer novels will have a character glossary in the back of the book.
Yeah.
This particular one does not.
Bummer.
But basically what we have is we have 3 different countries that are our political players. We have Tiad, which is across the ocean. We have Arleon, which you can think Arleon Aryan. I think that's kind of where he got that name from. Everyone there is like blonde, light eyes, that kind of flavor.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then we have the Jordan, and that is on the same continent as Arleon, but it's separated by a mountain range. So we have our 3 countries, and each country has its own religion. And a lot of this novel is not only the people, but also their religions and the political movements.
Okay.
So basically, how the religions worked is that you had this one primary religion, and it got split into 2 different sects. So how I think about it is you have Judaism, you have Christianity, you have Islam. So something like of that flavor, where it's like you had one main and then it kind of started splitting.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. So for Jordal, for Jordan.
Yeah. For Jordal.
For Jordal. I know. I don't really know how to say the word, so I'm just making it up. They believe one religion they believe one split, and then Tiod believes a different split. Arleon used to just believe in Elantris. That used to be their religion.
Okay.
Once Elantris fell, they were kind of like, well, we don't care. We'll kind of believe what the Fjordan people want or what the Tiod people want. They're just kind of very lackadaisical about it.
Okay. Is anyone in the like Jewish religion, like the foundation?
So
no?
That is a different that originated from like a different like country. But what has happened is that in the past recent history, Jordan has done a lot of movement taking over countries, converting them to their religion. So at this stage of the game, everyone believes the Jordan's religion except for Arleon and Tiod.
Okay.
And so the princess marrying the prince, Serene, how did you say her name?
I said Serene.
Yeah, I was always saying it's Serene, but I think Serene's probably right.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So we'll just call her Serene. So Serene marrying Roden was a important marriage because they're the last 2 standing against the Jordan. So this kind of banded those 2 countries together to try to fend off
the Fjordan
country.
Okay, so why all don't they like the Fjordan? Is it because they like are oppressive and are taking over places, and also like their religion, or is it something else?
You can imagine what the Fjordan's doing is very similar to probably like the Christian Crusades.
Okay.
Where they go in and they say, if you don't come under our rule and follow our religion, we will kill you all.
Yeah, I wouldn't like them either.
Plummet. Yeah. So recently, Fjordan has taken over this country called another country that's very, very close to Arleon. So basically, at this point, Fjordan is closing in on Arleon, and then Tiod will be the last place that they'll go. And the reason why they're doing this is because in their religion, their god, Jadith, will awaken once everyone is a believer. And so that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
So that's kind of the political scape. You basically have your 2 religions at play, and then you have your 3 different countries working at the same time.
Okay.
Yes. So for our main characters, we have Serene, and she represents Tiod, and she also represents Arleon because now she's the princess. That's the new place. And then we have Elantris. That's represented by Raoden, the prince who got exiled there. And then we have Fjordan, which is represented by their religious leader, Hrathen.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that?
Okay, so that was all very helpful because I really wasn't keeping all these characters and places in my mind. And I was just kind of going along with the story. So Yeah, so my summary only included the characters.
Yeah. And so since this is my second time reading it, I'm able to keep up with this a lot more. But my first time reading it is the same experience as you, where you're just kind of washing, like taking it all in and having it
Right.
wash over you.
Yeah. Okay, so there's also the fall of Elantris, that's called the Rayad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Shayad,
and Shayad,
right?
wasn't there something also called, I think both of those are words.
Oh, okay. So this is what happened. Elantris, they're gods.
Okay.
People who have the Arlean blood, they can become an Elantrin. It's kind of just like a random thing. One day you wake up and now you have magical powers. Elantris fell. When the day Elantris fell, there was this massive earthquake. They call that earthquake the Rayad. So that's all it was. It was Elantris fell, this massive earthquake happened at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the Shayad, I know it can be confusing, especially if you're just hearing it. The Shayad is the word used to describe a person who would transform into an Elantrin.
Oh, okay.
So it used to be a blessing. It was a good thing. But now if you get the Shayad, it means that you turn into basically like a living corpse.
Right. Okay. That's really helpful. Yeah, all the words sound the same.
Yes. And I think as we go, if we're saying the words, we should also,
Define them.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
because I think it'll get really confusing otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, so all that has happened.
So I did have a few notes on Sanderson as an author
Ooh,
that
yeah.
kind of sprinkle into all of his books. And I thought it would be cool if we just kind of touched on those on the front end.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So Sanderson, he was born in Lincoln, Nebraska, and then he went to Brigham Young University, which is in Utah, and is founded by one of the top Mormon leaders and is a very popular Mormon college.
Right.
He started off as a biochem major, and then he took 2 years off to do an LDS mission trip to South Korea. And when he came back, he switched to English literature.
Wow.
I found this interesting because Sanderson, in terms of his actual writing skills, are not great, but his storytelling is very good. And any of like his magic things that he comes up with come from a very like scientific feeling place.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of combining his science background interest with his English
With literature. Yeah, that is
literature.
interesting. That is interesting too, how I don't know how his other books are, but it seems like religion is an important part in this book and just like how that plays out and influences things.
Yes. So all of his books typically have a similar type of flavor.
Yeah.
Most of his books are multi-narrative, so having the multiple perspectives. And so typically how that works is that I always imagine the characters are standing far apart from each other. I'm imagining like a circle. And as you read the book, they keep slowly circling closer and closer and closer, and then they'll all eventually converge at some point. So I always think that that's like I always like that type of writing style.
Yeah.
I think it's fun seeing that. Then I also did some light research, mostly Wikipedia, but I looked up some of the Mormon themes that are in a lot of his books. And these are also just very popular fantasy themes anyway.
Right.
But one of them is gifts of the spirit. So personal gifts that can be used either to help or control others.
Okay.
Chosen ones. That's very typical fantasy fiction where you have a subset of people that are selected to do some grand, big task.
Right.
I think I wrote this wrong. The hidden secret is what I wrote, but I think maybe a secret. But basically places that either no one enters other than the select few, or many people enter, but mysteries are revealed only to one or two people.
Okay.
So I imagine with that, I think about like, the tabernacle in the
Yeah.
Bible, and they have the shroud, and only the prophecies or who are they? Who could go back there?
Only the high priest.
Only the high
Right.
priest can go back there. So
Yeah.
something like of that flavor.
Yeah. So would that be like because I remember when what's the high priest name here?
Uh,
Um,
Hrathen?
Rathan, yeah. He has a scroll and like he only shows it to his little minion person. Is that kind
Yes,
of what you're going where you think
I
that's
think so.
here? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And then also religion is very prominent in all of his books.
Yeah.
And some of the themes that this article mentioned is that Mormonism teaches all religions are corrupt, aside from theirs, but do possess some knowledge from the original source of truth. So
Okay.
it's been misinterpreted over time, but there are some things that are true about it.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
And then the last trope, and this is the most heavily prevalent, is the opposition in all things. So if you imagine you have Elantris, you have everyone else. You had Elantris were gods, now they're demons. You have this religion, you have that religion. And you always kind of see this good, evil, or left, right
Right.
type of things.
Okay. Yeah, there's no third option.
No. And then the last section I had was just notes on Mormonism in general.
Okay.
Because one of the things I was trying to pull out is what religions is Sanderson trying to allude to with his writing? I don't think they're entirely made up. But basically, just a quick history on Mormonism is that LDS believes that Christianity became corrupt from the Greek and Romans, but some of the Jewish people migrated to North America and then wrote down the true scripture, which was unearthed by Joseph Smith. And then he translated it. And then that's the core foundation for LDS. So they believe they're Christians, but they believe that what they know is the true stuff, and what everyone else knows has been corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also found that Mormonism and Islam are often compared because I was not expecting that. But basically, it's because it's this idea where LDS believes that there are many prophets. So it started with Jesus, then they had Joseph Smith, and then there'll be someone else that continue to speak to God and add to scripture. Islam is similar, where they had Muhammad, but they think it's just the one prophet and then they're done.
Okay.
And then the last thing I wanted to note is that in Islam, you have the Quran, which are the words of Allah given to Muhammad. And then you have something called hadith, which are the actual words from Muhammad, the prophet.
Okay.
And I found the word hadith interesting because it rhymes with Jadith. And I'm wondering if there's some connections in there. So, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, with Jadith, I was picking up on some Jesus vibes, but that's interesting. He rhymes with the what was it? The Muslim book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jadith, it starts with the J. And there's one part where like he's like in a tomb or something, and he's gonna like rise again. There's some Jesus imagery there.
Yes. So I think that's really interesting. And as we get closer to it, I want to talk more about that.
Ooh, okay. I like it.
Yep. But okay, do you want to start with the prologue?
Ooh, yes.
One quote. Sorry, I'm talking so much, but
No.
I thought it was good. So in the prologue, it's the Sheod. It was called The Transformation with a capital T. It struck randomly, usually at night during the mysterious hours when life slowed to rest. When it came, the fortunate person's life ended and began anew. He would discard his old mundane existence and move to Elantris. And I thought it was interesting that transformation was capitalized. And I felt like this was kind of an illusion of someone being like born again.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting. I didn't catch that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but that definitely is some like, I mean, knowing that he's Mormon, that sounds like a Bible verse of like, be renewed in your spirit, something like that, of their life
Mm-hmm.
began anew. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting that like it's in that sense, it seems more religious of like, oh, you're a new creation and you're godlike, but now it's been flipped. And now
Yes.
actually you're not godlike. You're the opposite.
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay, well, that's all I had for the prologue.
I forgot about the prologue, so I don't have anything else.
Don't worry about it. So we can start off with chapter 1, and then this is the perspective of Prince Raoden.
Okay. I didn't really have any quotes pulled out from here.
Oh, okay.
So, but I thought it was interesting. I wrote down my like predictions of what I thought was going to happen as I was reading it. I didn't really have any predictions for chapter 1 since it was the first one.
Okay.
So, oh, but I did like how, because I think this all happens in chapter 1. So, all right, so he wakes up and he's realized that, what's it called? The Shayad
The Shayad.
has happened.
The thing that turns you into an Elantrin.
Okay, right. And then he gets thrown into Elantris. I just thought that his like concept of what eternal damnation would be like was interesting, where it's like you hurt yourself and then you're hurt forever, and like your body isn't repairing itself. I thought that was interesting because like you have all the worst parts about being alive with none of the benefits. So you can still experience pain, but you can't repair the pain. So I just thought that was an interesting imagination of what eternal pain could be like.
I thought that was really interesting too, and I didn't realize it, but I was like, the last book we just talked about was all about pain.
Here we are again. I feel like every story, it's got to have some pain.
So I had pulled out a few quotes that I thought were interesting. So one of them was, the Shayad was a thing that happened to other people, distant people, people who deserve to be cursed, not the crown prince of Arleon, not Raoden. And I kind of feel like that's how we treat sick people or homeless people or people who are, struggling. I think a lot of times we think, oh yeah, that happens to them. It won't happen to me.
Yeah. Isn't there a line in here though, where it's like the Shayad, it's something about like how it doesn't discriminate against rich people or poor people or something. But I guess maybe it hasn't happened really in the royal family because it seemed like such a shock.
Yeah, so that is true. And I remember reading that being like, that is a contradiction. And I can't explain it. I think that's all it is. It's a contradiction. And I don't know. Because it does say that. Like it treats people indiscriminately. So I don't know.
Right. But I mean, there's a lot of people. So just by chance, it hasn't hit the royal family yet.
Yeah.
Until now.
Well, the royal family is really small. It's only 2 people.
Well, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
He's married. There's a wife, the queen.
I feel like that concept though of like we're the wealthy people not seeing the poor people.
Yeah.
Versus like, and we'll get to that later, but how it's like there's a lot, like the city seems like it's doing so well and all of this. Meanwhile, you have a whole group of destitute people in Elantris and all of the people surrounding them that are starving.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I noticed that too. I think that's interesting for a few things because it's like it is so separate. And I remember when he gets there, he's like, what do you guys eat? Or like, you have to eat something. And it's just like a total disconnect of like, there's these people who are living there, but they're just so, I don't know, what's the word? Ignored and like, I don't know.
Yes.
You just kind of like push them to the side and don't think about them. So that's interesting to make the comparison with like homeless people or people who are sick or something. And then there's something else that came to mind. What were you talking about?
There's no poor people inside the city.
That was one of my predictions, was that maybe the king who wanted to stay rich and powerful, he like what was my prediction? like he like took all the power from the Elantrians for himself somehow, and
Mm,
then
mhm.
it like sapped it from everyone else who was around. So he
Oh,
like,
that's interesting.
yeah, yeah.
That's very interesting.
Thanks.
Um, so I had another line that I wrote down. Riordan looked down and felt a sudden chill. The quote, old man was no more than 16 years old. The creature's soot-covered skin was dark and spotted, but his face was that of a child, not a man. Riordan took an involuntary step backward. And I remember distinctly, I went to Portland, Oregon, and we were
Oh, yeah.
traveling around, and they have, unfortunately, they have a lot of drug use and homeless people. And normally, when I see homeless people, they feel different from me. They feel older, far away. They're not like me. But in Portland, there were people that looked like they were my age on the
Yeah,
streets. And I just remember how jarring that felt when it's
yeah,
like, that could be me.
yeah. That I didn't read this at all in that context. I think because I haven't read a fantasy book in so long, I was like trying to get
Mm-hmm.
into a fantasy mindset, and so I was taking it like
Yeah.
completely out of any of our
Well,
context.
you can take it any way you want.
I know, but I kind of like that because I think that's part of why I was having trouble like finding quotes that were meaningful. I'm like, none of this applies to me.
Mm-hmm. How I imagine fantasy writing is it's just a thin layer on top of the real world.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you peel it back a little bit, you see these like really strong themes that, are like real life. But I felt like that child kind of for Raoden represented like his future, like where he was
Oh,
probably going
right.
if he stays in Elantris, getting his head bashed in,
Yeah.
being
No,
why
that's
don't
interesting.
you summarize chapter 2 and give your thoughts on that? Or where do you have notes and we can pick up there?
My next prediction was in chapter 2, and it was
Oh, yeah.
when Serene is on her way to Arlon, Arleon,
Arleon. Mm-hmm.
Arleon. Um, and I think she's like, oh, I think it's like her first interaction with the king, and she's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
observing him, and she's like, wow, he's awful. Who likes him?
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was that maybe the king sacrificed his Raoden as like uh in exchange for like wealth or for like a peace treaty or something somehow. So maybe he
Oh,
like
yeah.
caused the Shayad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that happens. But
That
as I read it
sounds.
later, I was like, I don't think so.
So, what's your take on Serene?
Okay, so Serene, she's not my favorite, but she grew on me a lot because there's like some things where it's like she said it in this like sugary sweet voice or something like that, where it's like, ugh, like it just felt a little cheesy. But I
Yeah.
really liked in one of the last chapters, like chapter 8 or 9 or something, when the Parathan, the high priest guy, is like on
Mm-hmm.
the Elantris wall and he's like expounding on blah 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 blah. And she like has some really smart like arguments that just like seem very effortlessly like, oh, what do you mean by this? But it works
Mm-hmm.
really well to take down his argument. And so then
Yeah.
after that, I was like, okay, Serene's pretty cool. But at first I was like I don't know if we'd be friends. But now I like her.
Yeah. I don't think I would be friends with her either.
Yeah. What about it? What are your
I think
thoughts?
she's like a steamroller.
Oh,
I feel like she would just kind of, she seems like the type of person that's like, I'm always right. I'm smart. I'm the
yeah.
smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Sanderson, I don't think writes women very well, and he does it often. So,
Good. Good, good. Yeah, yeah, I was kind of getting some of those vibes too. Um, yeah, just like kind of like too serious, not fun.
yeah.
Probably still wouldn't be friends, but I I don't dislike her as much anymore.
Yeah, she definitely gets better as time goes on. But she starts off like just kind of stuffy.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed in that chapter is this line about Raoden's funeral. And
Oh,
it
which one?
said, The entire wooden casket was surrounded by a ring of lavish foods, an offering made on behalf of the deceased. But they actually sent Riordan with a single carrot and beef jerky into Elantris. But they gave his empty casket all this food. And I found the irony of that funny.
Yeah, that is interesting too. If you are reading it as like Elantris is kind of where all the like marginalized groups are going, like homeless people or people, and it's like we're like, oh, we can't give anything to them, but like at the same time, we're offering all this food to something that's going nowhere, essentially.
Exactly. I think that's a really good point. Because they could be feeding Elantris, they could be doing a lot of things because there's clearly wealth available to the people within the city.
Yeah. And is there, okay, so is the thought of not interacting with Elantrians that like you also will get cursed by being next to them? Because I remember Serene has a thought when she's like Elantris was so close and she's like, wow, I've heard about this place, but I've never been so near it. She's like, but I guess there's like no harm in being close to it because there's this whole city surrounding it and they seem to be fine.
Yes. So the issue with the Elantrans is that it's unknown.
Okay.
No one knows why this has happened. And so it's kind of like leprosy in a way where you don't know if you're going to catch it. Well, I guess leprosy, you do know if you're going to catch it, but they don't know if they're going to catch something. But the fear of potentially catching it is so much that they just throw everyone, lock them away.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so this was the first Serene chapter. And we meet the king, and he seems terrible. And no one likes him.
So what do you think of the queen?
Queen seems suffocated by the king, is my thought. Because it was like I think she described her as like being really flighty and like she wouldn't stop talking. And so it sounds like, and like she's trying to cover up probably that like her son had just been eternally damned to be a leper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it sounds like she doesn't really have space to really think and be on her own. And probably that's what is the king Eodin or something?
Iodin.
Okay, yeah. And it sounds like that's just the perfect woman for Eodin.
Yeah. Yeah. So one quick note is that Raoden, the prince, his mom died. This is his stepmom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
This is stepmom. One thing I pointed out from the queen, it was like one of her only lines that she had, and it's what she was saying to Serene. She said, if I wanted yellow flowers, I said to them, I would have had you plant Aberteens. You should have seen them apologize. I'm sure we'll have orange ones by the end of next year. And my comment was, rich people treating others like garbage.
Oh, yeah. I remember that line. No, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, so out of touch.
Right, exactly. And it's like they're worrying about their flowers and stuff, whereas all the people who are supporting them, making the food, doing the things, are starving.
Right.
Very Marie Antoinette vibes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to see if that like disparity comes up later. Because it seems like there's definitely like the good and evil with like Elantris and everyone else, and then like the good and evil with, you know, the different religions. But you're right, it seems to be like this thing in the background of like this disparity between the capital and everyone else. And I don't think it's like explicitly really come up yet. I'm interested to see how it does.
Now I'm curious, and I don't think the book ever gets into this, is because Serene walks in and she's like, this is so crazy that people are acting like this. So I'm wondering how they do it in her country, Tiad.
Oh, acting like what?
Like, she's like, where are all the poor people? Why are they, you know, they're doing so well. They aren't acknowledging all the poor people they have. She makes a couple of comments like that in her inner monologue or dialogue.
Yeah. That's right.
So I'm like, I'm sure they have poor people in her country, so I don't know.
Right. Well, it seems like because Raoden and Serene, they had like their emails or like, whatever, their letter correspondences. And it seemed like they were kind of on the same page of like, we're for the people, and like seemed very level-headed and nice and wonderful people. And it sounds like Serene's father is also kind of on that same page because like they have a close relationship. So I wonder if it maybe is really different there. And they are very kind people. And maybe it's this wonderful place where they take care of all their inhabitants.
Right. We have no idea.
Yeah.
I think the truth is probably that Serene has her own blind spots.
Yeah.
That we aren't privy to because we don't get someone else's perspective on her country.
Right.
Okay. So any other comments on chapter 2?
I don't think so. We haven't talked about the spirit things, the seance yet.
Oh,
but Ash
yes.
is her little like sidekick. I like those.
Yeah, it's basic. Yeah, so a seance is exactly like you said. It's her sidekick. It's just kind of like a little ball of flowing light that lives forever. And if you become an Elantrin, your seance loses its mind.
Yeah.
So there's this connection between seance and Elantrins.
Okay.
So anyone from Fjordan, from that religion, who hates the Elantrins, also hates the seance.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Ash is a really good character, though, I think.
Yeah. I like him. One of my favorites so far. I actually like them all.
Yeah.
No, I don't like all of them, but I've enjoyed the story.
Yeah. So basically what's happened at this point before we move to the next chapter is the Prince Raoden, he has become an Elantrin. He went there. He's like, this place sucks. He meets a partner named Galladon, and he's showing him the ropes in Elantris. At the same time, Serene comes to Arleon from her home country, Tiad. She finds out Raoden's dead. She's disappointed. And she's meeting her new family, and she finds out they suck.
All in all, a bad day for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we get to our third perspective, which is Hrathen.
Okay. Yeah. No one likes Hrathen either. But people really don't like, what's his name? Delphi or something?
Delof.
Yeah. Even his name sounds like doof.
It's like, oh, I was thinking rice pilaf.
But I like rice pilaf.
Okay, so what was your take on Hrathen and this whole chapter?
Let's think. All right. So what all happens here? He comes to Erelon and he's like, all right, people, gotta convert you all in the next 3 months. And then he finds out like the priest hasn't been doing his job well or something, so he sends him off. And then he finds his new little right-hand man, Delof, and he's like, I can make good use of you. That most of what happens here.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you think about Delof? Because at first there's a line where Hrathen makes him his little minion, and then he's like, did I just get played?
I know. I've grown to like Delof less and less each chapter because it keeps getting more and more extreme, and I'm like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable. It does feel very like Crusade-ish, like where I'm like, oh, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
And so I know, and yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to read about religion like this, especially like if you subscribe or like are part of a religion, where it's like, oh, this is an interesting commentary on the extremes that religion can be taken to.
Yeah.
So
one of the things you'll notice as the book progresses is that Delof is a duality to Hrathen. And he's kind of already mentioned it, where it's like Hrathen, his beliefs are very logical, are based in like studies. It doesn't have passion. It doesn't have like fervor. Whereas Delof is like a zealot.
Yeah, he's only that.
He's like only that. And so I think there's like a little bit of a tug between or a rub between the two of them, where Hrathen sees how passionate Dilaf is, and he's kind of like, I'm not that passionate about my beliefs. Do I actually believe,
Interesting. Yeah. But he also seems to be like, this guy's too much. Like I didn't get the feeling that he was like intimidated in any way by it. Maybe it comes up more later though.
Yeah, it might be
That's what I'm
spoilers,
thinking.
so oopsies.
That's okay. Yeah.
So I had a few lines that I pulled out. One of them was exactly what you said in the summary. People milled around, ignoring the holy structure in which they stood, laughing and joking. It was too much. And he's getting like so upset. And this made me think it was maybe an allusion to Jesus being mad at the Pharisees or the priests or whatever at the temple.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminded me of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting some of those vibes.
Mm-hmm. And then another line that I pulled out was, we're not here to love the people. We are here to help them.
Yeah. Right. And is that Hrathen speaking?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I kind of feel like with a lot of religion, it's like the Bible says, like, we're supposed to love the people, but in practice, from what I've seen, especially like within our political climate right now, it seems more like this, where it's like, we're here to help them. We know what's better for people. So it's like,
right.
We want people to adhere to our beliefs because it's for their own good type of thing.
Interesting. Yeah. I think part of me, I was like, because some of it, since there is some like Christian, what's the word?
Undertones.
Callbacks. Yeah, undertones. I was like, oh no, I feel attacked. And then I don't know. When I was reading things like that, I was like, okay, but this isn't about Christianity, so it's okay. But I think there are definitely like parallels there.
Yeah. So one of the other ones I had was Hrathen smiled. Dilaf, though not of the chosen race, was obviously a man who understood the doctrine and culture of his religion. So an important note is that Dilaf is from Arleon, or the Aryan country. And so just this idea that you have like a chosen people, and how there's like tiers. And it's like, if you're not part of the chosen people, you can be accepted, but you'll never be equal.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. One of my predictions here, which I'm in hindsight, maybe this is a really small part and it actually doesn't matter at all. But when Fionn, who's the current priest, when Hrathen comes and he gets sent off, there's a line on page 54 where like Hrathen like had two letters basically, and he asks Fionn a question or something. Or no, I think Fionn like reads the letter from Jaden, and based on his response, Hrathen was like, that was a good response. So I'll send you with the good letter that is going to say like, treat Fionn well or whatever. But my prediction is that he accidentally sent him with the bad letter that said Fionn is a heathen or a blasphemer or whatever. And then he burned the good letter. Am I right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. That would be evil though. Oh my God.
Well, but it would be on accident because he seemed like he really did want to send him with a good letter, but it's not like he double checked, and he said they both look the same on the outside. So it seems like he setting himself up for failure there.
That is an astute observation.
Oh.
So you'll have to keep that cataloged.
Yeah, I need to keep, I'll keep a running list.
Yeah. The last note that I had for this was Hrathen talking to himself about how if he doesn't convert everyone in 3 months, the whole city's going to get blown to bits. And so he said, the people might not yet know it, but Hrathen was the only thing standing between them and utter annihilation. Someday they would call him their savior. And so my comment being that Hrathen seems invested in preventing loss of life, but is willing to kill some people along the way.
Right.
Kind of like the ends justifies the means.
Wait, okay. So is that line though about like he's willing to kill people? Or like does he You're right. I think he does talk about that. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
he basically says like he's willing to curb stomp a few people if that means that he can get to his goal and save the town.
Yeah, right. And it's definitely coming from like this place of like wanting to be the savior and thinking you're doing
Yes,
something good.
he definitely has a savior complex, and he kind of alludes to how his last mission didn't go well, and he's like really
Okay.
committed to making it work this time.
Okay. Right. But he has had some good missions, right? Because I think later it talks about like he had converted a people, but it was like super easy. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, ah, these
Mm-hmm.
people are more of a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, exactly. So in terms of like your own beliefs, if you're a Hrathen and you're sent to convert this town, and you know that if you don't do it, everybody's going to get destroyed. But the only way to accomplish your goal is you might have to curb stomp a few people on the way. What would you do?
What do you do? I don't know. That's a bad position to be in. I mean, okay. So this is like the trolley problem. Do you know the trolley problem?
Yes, that's exactly what
Yeah.
I was thinking of.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, well, do I kill one person or do I let 100 people die?
Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm. Well, it seems like, I mean, I don't know what practically I would do since I have no idea how this like world works. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess in that context, you try to convert as many people as possible. It seems like it would still be wrong though to like kill people on purpose, like you're giving them the option and then they have like the free choice to either do it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you've
Yeah.
told them the consequences, you know?
Yeah, I think I would do the same thing. I think I would risk the whole town and to save my own conscience of just being
Yeah.
like, I'll do the best that I can, and I won't compromise my morals to get there, even if that
Right.
means that I don't achieve my goal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting how morals can seem relative in certain contexts, of like, well,
Yes.
according to this religion, maybe it is moral. It'd be more moral to
Hmm.
curb stomp a few people. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially, and I think this is dangerous in general with religion when it's like, when everyone has to believe what you believe, and that's like the ultimate goal, it can, I think, be very easy to start justifying doing a few curb stomping along the way. Because you're like,
yeah,
this is what's good for everybody,
right. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think I really like the line that you pulled out that they we're not sent to love people, we're sent to help people, and how
Hmm.
the religion can be misconstrued as
Hmm.
I'm loving them by helping them in this way,
Yeah.
which might include killing some people.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So that was pretty much it with Hrathen. He just showed up to the church. He's shaken it up. He got his new little assistant deal off, and he kicked out the old priest, possibly with a letter to his death. We don't know.
Okay, yeah. I
We
mean,
don't know.
we'll see. Stay tuned.
So now we are back in Elantris with Raoden and his friend Galladon.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I like Galladon a lot. He seems like level-headed and normal, like
Mm-hmm.
a wise guy.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling for some reason in here, I don't know what page it was on or like what the quote was, but I just had this feeling. I was like, I bet Galladon is married and his wife is either in Elantris or maybe she's in the surrounding town. For some reason, I just had a
Mm-hmm.
feeling. But I think this is the chapter where, yeah, where at the end he like draws the letter or whatever. And that
Yes.
really threw me for a loop.
So, okay. So, what Chrissy's talking about with the letter is that with the lanterns, how they would do their magic is they would write these, they call them aeons, I think.
I think so. Very similar to Seon. but not to be
Yeah,
confused.
not to be confused. Basically, it's like a magic alphabet, if you will. And when I imagine them, I think of like Chinese Mandarin characters, which I think is pulled a lot from Sanderson's time when he was in South Korea.
Hmm.
But basically, you draw these characters, and depending on what you draw, magic happens. And then when Rayoden tries to do it, it it almost seems like the magic is there, but it's not. Has a kink in the power supply or something. That's
Right.
basically how it's described.
Right. And
So what
so,
did you?
mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, okay, and so Galladon is like his friend that he starts clinging to. Oh, and he made this deal. He gave Galladon the beef jerky, so Galladon would
Mm-hmm.
show him around town for 30 days.
Yep.
And so he's given him the grand tour. And at the end, Galladon takes him to his little house that he discovered, and it has all these books on
Mm-hmm.
the wall, and he does the magic alphabet thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, I was super surprised. Um, and I thought that meant that Galladon was maybe one of the like original Elantrian people who like were
Mm.
born with like the
Mm-hmm.
god like Elantrian, because I didn't.
Yeah.
Later we find out that Rayoden can read the books and he can then do magic. So like he learned it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I didn't know that magic could be learned.
Yes. So basically, how the magic works is you just draw these characters, and if you draw them perfectly, then the magic works. And in a following chapter, it talks about how Rayoden, exactly as you said, he learned the characters. He's very like well studied, and he had always just been very interested in drawing the characters and stuff like that, which is why he's picking it up so quickly.
Okay. Yeah. This is like in kindergarten when you have like the trace thing that you have to do, and like the
Exactly.
closer you get it. This would have been way better motivation.
Yes. So there was one line that I pulled out, and I think this is why you were getting that feeling that he had a family in Elantris. So it said the doula, which is Galladon, spoke of life in Elantris as if it had been his home for decades, and he was impressively adept at navigating the enormous city.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I listed that as foreshadowing.
Oh, well, you already know what happened. So I guess that
Well, I
is for
feel like,
sure
yes,
foreshadowing.
yeah, I can definitely tell when it's foreshadowing, but you can kind of get like a feel when, um, whenever Raoden's like, this is weird. I thought only this could happen. How did it happen to you? And you know,
Right.
and this is also that line that we talked about earlier, where the Shead, or how people became Elantrans, respected no classes. It took from all equally, which
Okay.
directly contradicts the previous thought that Raoden had. But I guess he's evolving as the day goes on.
He's learned a lot today.
He's learned a lot. So the other part that I want to talk about in this chapter is that we find out in Elantris there are 3 gangs
Right.
within the city. And so they name the 3 gangs, and basically what happens is that whenever a new Elantran comes into the city, depending which way the person walks, if they walk into one person's territory, then that person gets to rob them. And so it prevents the gangs from attacking each other. And they kind of have like these informal rules.
Okay. Yeah. And there's one gang that Karata is her name, I
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned some of the gang rulers or gang, yeah, leaders. And she's in
Mm-hmm.
charge of the palace area, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and she's tried to escape like 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a
Mm-hmm.
few mentions here of like people are trying to assassinate the king. I guess it's kind of like the, I don't know, uprising of the plebeians to overthrow the the
Yes. And
royalty.
I think it's lightly alluded here, but the king, Iadon, is very, very paranoid about being
Right.
assassinated.
Right.
Yeah. So we have the 3 gangs, Karada, the woman that you just described, Sheor. We haven't learned anything about them. Andon, who lives at the university, and then he cooked the really old books
Right.
because they had like this type of leathery skin.
Yeah.
And so they cooked
Delicious.
up all the information that could have helped them. They ate it. So one line that I pulled out is Raoden to Galladon. So the prince to his friend. You talk about hunger and pain as if they are forces which can't be resisted. Anything is acceptable as long as the hunger made you do it. Remove our comforts and we become animals.
Mm.
So one of the other things we didn't mention about the Elantris is that they are eternally hungry. And they
Right.
just have this like innate instinctual desire for food, and there's just no food to be had. But what that line reminded me of is how people, when you become desperate or destitute, how quickly you revert back into very primal instincts.
Right. Yeah. I know. I remember that line, and part of me was like, "Yeah, I relate to that. I'm really hungry. The only thing I want to do is eat." But, but also, it's like, but no, humans still have their dignity, even if they're in like this
Yeah.
desolate place.
Yeah.
But it also kind of reminds me of like, Maslow's pyramid hierarchy of
Mm-hmm.
needs of things, or it's like, yeah, if you are on the bottom row and like you don't have your basic needs met of like food and shelter, it's like it's really hard to do anything else other than try to find those basic
Mm-hmm.
needs.
Yeah. So last line that I had, and this uses two words, tempest and chasm. And I only highlight these because these are words that Sanderson uses in his other books. And this is kind of like the little wink and a nod
Oh,
to his other novels.
okay.
So it has come with a tempest. That much even Raoden remembered. The earth itself had shattered, an enormous chasm appearing in the south, all of Arleon quaking. Elantris had stopped glowing, instead growing dark. So my question for you is, what do you think happened?
Okay. Can you read that one more time?
Mm-hmm. It has come with a tempest. That much even Raoden remembered. The earth itself shattered, an enormous chasm appearing in the south, all of Arleon quaking. Elantris had stopped glowing, instead growing dark. So basically, this huge earthquake happened, this huge like split in the earth appeared, and then Elantris turned dark.
Okay, right. Yeah. So I guess that was just like their power going out kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it doesn't sound like it's not like from a religious aspect of like they had favor from the
Mm-hmm.
gods and now they like lost their favor. Although I guess it sounds like Harathan, you could interpret it as like the gods are punishing them for what they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really feel like that's actually the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know what it is exactly.
So do you see like any connection between the chasm and Elantris?
I don't know. Is it that like Elantris is kind of like a hole and like people are being thrown into the chasm and like you can't escape kind of thing?
That's an interesting thought. We'll keep thinking about it.
Okay, interesting, interesting.
Okay. Any more thoughts on chapter 4?
Um, I don't think so. I think we hit it all.
Okay. So we're almost done here, hopefully. So we're on chapter 5.
All right, so back to Serene.
Mm-hmm.
And now is she with her uncle?
Yes. So now we're introduced to her uncle, who is Kays, and his
Okay,
family.
right. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in their family.
Yeah. So just to touch on the characters here, we have Kays, who's Serene's uncle, brother to the king of Tiad, her home country.
Isn't it Kin? Or is it because there is a Case? Is Case his daughter?
Oh, I thought Kays was his name.
Um,
And then he has a son, Lucal, and Aiden. And then he has the
no,
2 little twins, and I didn't even bother getting their names.
no. I think Case is the girl, is
Oh,
the
shoot.
daughter.
What's his name?
I think it's Kin, Kiin. Kian.
You're probably right. Okay.
I think so.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's what.
Kin. All right. Give me your thoughts on this chapter.
Okay, so I really like Kin and his family.
Mm-hmm.
Little kids were fun. I thought they had some good lines in there. They made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Serene, I was like, Serene, don't take yourself so seriously. Because
I
there's some
know.
things like she messed up, and I was like, just laugh at yourself. Like it's really
Yeah.
okay. So
Yes.
that was where I was like, me and Serene couldn't be friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess she's a princess, so um, but yeah, the chapter ends. It's basically just them, just Serene at her family's house, right?
Yeah. Just getting
Um, oh,
introduced.
we kind of get more insight though on what Serene actually thinks about Raoden. I liked I
Mm.
thought that was sweet of like they had their correspondences um and it seemed like they really did connect on all these like different levels and it seemed like really great people, like a really great match. And she's like genuinely very
Mm-hmm.
sad that she didn't get to meet him, that he seems to be
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. I
So
know.
I like that.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Um, so the only things I had to point out here is that we know that people from Arleon and Tiad are Aryan type people, blonde, light skin. And then we get our first instinct to what people from Jordan look like because her cousin-in-law, if you will, Jala, has dark hair and dark features.
Okay.
So Prathen probably also has dark features.
Okay. I didn't put all that together.
Yeah. Which you wouldn't on your first read.
Yeah.
My next question is, so her uncle Kin, he has several children, and one of them is Aiden,
Oh yeah.
who is like this disabled child who's like mumbling to himself. Did you like saying numbers and saying Elantris and things like that? So what were your
Yeah.
thoughts on him?
Thoughts were, it seemed like it was maybe he was maybe drawing on like some form of like extreme autism or something was my
Mm-hmm.
vibe that I got. I
Yeah.
feel like he is gonna come out at the end and like do something miraculous and like save everybody, and he's gonna be
Mm.
the hero of the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gonna come out of nowhere. Um, so that's my thought that I have. I like his because they're twins, right? I like the girl. She's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a ton of other thoughts on the boy. Maybe it's that he like really does have all this like magic knowledge in his brain and he just doesn't really know how to get it out kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Or like he's really talented in this one specific area and it's going to come out later what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my
Yeah.
thoughts.
I think that's really good. One of the things that I liked in that chapter is that Serene was trying to basically spy on the king and his court. And so she, to do so, because she wasn't allowed in there, she kind of leaned into being foolish, like a silly girl, so that the king would just ignore her. And the quote that she says to her fairy Seon partner is, he expects women to be foolish, so I'll be foolish, with the idea of turning a disadvantage into advantages.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
I think this is also another recurring theme of people underestimating others because they think that they're lesser than them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I do appreciate how like not witty. Um what's the word?
Clever.
Strategize well. Yeah, yeah, like clever Serena's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how she does turn her disadvantages into advantages and like is able to
Mm-hmm.
like maneuver around in this new place really well.
Yes. Now, the other line that I picked up was that the uncle, the brother to the king, Kin, said to Serene, I don't think I have an official title anymore.
Oh
And
yeah.
Serene said it smelled of politics. So, what do you think happened between the brothers?
Um okay, so Keen is Serene's dad's
Uncle.
brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um
Younger brother.
Younger brother. I thought they kind of go into it later, and I'm not really remembering exactly what it was. But he's now living in a new place. So isn't there
Mm-hmm.
like some sort of like bias against the Arleans or something? And so like maybe since Ken moved there, then
Mm-hmm.
the does he have a name, Serene's dad?
I wrote it down.
I don't remember. But maybe he now is like, oh, Not on our side
Evento.
anymore.
Eventio.
What? Okay. So yeah, maybe
Eventio.
Eventio is like, he's not on our side anymore. Like you're out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. And they do talk about it later, so we'll touch on it again. The only other thing that I had, and I didn't really understand Sanderson's logic on this, but basically it's Kin talking to Serene, describing how the city fell and why they don't have servants. And so what he says to her is the servants are the ones who did the most damage, first in small groups, then in incredible destructive riot, killing any Elantrin they could find. The most powerful Elantrins went first, but the killing spread to the weaker ones as well. And he kind of describes why they did this, that they were like confused or fearful. But I'm like, why would the servants kill the Elantrins? Because the Elantrins were always giving them food and
right. Yeah.
And I don't even know why there are servants if you have Elantrins who could just make anything out of nothing.
Well, they weren't servants to Elantrins, right? They were servants to other people in Arleon, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So the Elantrins are kind of like an outside people who are like, hey, here's all this free stuff, and then they leave. So, I mean, maybe they're just like, they weren't, I don't know, the servants still needed their day job.
Yeah.
The Elantrins weren't giving them everything, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
As far as like, why they're still servants.
Yeah. Because that kind of reminds me of like the working class, you know?
Yeah.
And how the rich are fearful of the poors.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if they get too much autonomy, if you give them too much freedom, then they'll riot and overturn.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I found the place because I kind of forgot that line, and I forgot like what the context was. But it says that so I guess it says that they turned on their masters first, which I think makes more sense. But then it spread to the Elantrians, which that does seem strange, considering the Elantrians were giving them everything. But maybe it was just kind of like mob mentality kind of thing. Like, well.
Yeah, I think the other thing to note too is that very often the wealthy people believe that they have these close relationships with the help.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like they're forgetting that it's like your housekeeper isn't staying with you and cleaning and doing all this cooking because she loves you so much. It's because she needs a job.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes wealthy people kind of get this like mixed thing where they're like, oh yeah, like they're like family, they're like this, they're like that. And it's like, would you have your mom come 3 times a week and scrub your toilets?
Right.
That's family, you know? So.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So if you're good on chapter 5, we can hit up chapter 6.
I think we're good. Okay. So chapter 6, back to Hrathen. All right. So here's where he's noticing Serene more. Or he noticed her in the palace yesterday and like didn't know who she was.
He noticed her in the palace and he's like, she's going to be a problem. And this was a line that I wrote down that I feel like kind of summarizes the chapter. If he was going to succeed in his mission of converting everyone, he might have to incite a revolt. More death and more chaos. Horrible things to throw upon a nation that still hadn't recovered from its last violent revolution. However, Jadith's empire would not sit still and wait because a few ignorant nobles refused to accept the truth. And this is basically the train example we talked about earlier. But he's basically starting to plant seeds to incite violence.
Right. Okay. And that's when he's speaking to the king. Is that right?
Yes. So then he goes to the king, Galladon, to be like, hey, I need you to convert. And Galladon is like, we already believe the same God, right? Like, so imagine he's Islam and they're Christian, and you're like, we both believe in the same God. Like, why are you having this problem? And he's like, they are totally different. And if you don't even see that, then what are we doing here? You know?
Right.
Any other comments that you had? Or
Well, I didn't have any predictions for this chapter, but I'm seeing when Hrathen is seeing Elantris for the first time, and
Mm-hmm.
he's noticing like the people who are living there. And it says, so this is what the Rayad did. Hrathen mused to himself, it made beasts out of gods. Jadis was
Mm-hmm.
simply taken what was in their hearts and showed it for the world to see. According to the Jarethi philosophy, the only thing that separated men from animals was religion. So that's just interesting. I had forgot. I don't remember that from my first time reading it.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of like looking at what happened in Elantris through like the religious lens is like, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's because of their religion, and this is how they actually always were, and now this is they were like
Mm-hmm.
corrupt on the inside, and now they're corrupt on the outside.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
wrote down that line too, and my comment was that basically justifying why you can hate or kill people,
oh yeah,
by saying they deserve this. This is what
right,
they got coming to them. This is who they are.
right, yeah. The
One
first
of,
step.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, the first step in like being able to oppress a certain group of people is to say that they're not actually people anymore.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So,
And that kind of goes into the one line that I wrote down that I thought was very interesting. So Prathan smiled slightly, and this is him speaking to Dilaf, his assistant. I will show you the way to destroy a nation, the means by which the men of Jadith can topple kingdoms and seize control of the people's souls. The first step in taking control of a nation is the simplest. You find someone to hate.
mm-hmm. Does that remind you of
And
things going on currently?
yeah, because I feel like America, it's like there seems to be a very strong hatred or attack on the LGBT community, emphasis on the T, and kind of being like, that's not good. This is that, and trying to make it seem like they're not people in a certain way and that they don't deserve to have certain choices.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the hate game is that you have to constantly redirect that laser beam at a group of people and eventually it gets pointed at you.
Yeah.
So I just thought
Right.
that was very interesting. What do you think?
Yeah. No, that line stuck out to me too, because it's like that does seem to be the first step in taking over a group of people or like leading a group of people is like finding a common enemy. And then you find some sort of like solidarity in that, like, oh, we all hate the same thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And that's also just interesting about like in the book too, but also in like what's going on just like in our world of when you demonize the other side and you say like, oh, they're evil. It's like, well, you can't compromise with evil because that's
Mm-hmm.
compromising with evil. And so it's like it has to be
Mm-hmm.
completely my way or nothing kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And so it seems like that's what's playing out here too. It's like it has to be
Mm-hmm.
completely this religion and not, you know, anything else.
So one of Hathran's beliefs is that a country needs a united religion to be strong.
Okay.
What do you think?
Um, like in the context of the book or
Just in
just
general.
life in general. Um, I don't think that's the main ingredient that would make a country strong. I don't think that's
Yeah.
necessary. It could be helpful, but
I think religion a lot of times encapsulates a lot of core beliefs.
right.
And I think if you have the same core beliefs, then the country can be strong. I think when you have different values or diverging values, it's very hard because sometimes your value is in direct conflict with mine.
Right.
So then how do we satisfy both?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing that came to mind when you asked was like, it doesn't seem like religion is necessary to make a country strong, but more so like what's the disposition of each person? And like,
Mm-hmm.
do you have the disposition to be able to like tolerate people who are different from you or like, I don't know, live in
Mm-hmm.
that in like a pluralist society if religion isn't the thing
Yeah.
that's unifying you, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was my thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to note is that there is a line where Hrathen is looking at Elantris and he says, one, being an Elantrin, paused, looking up, and Hrathen saw his first Elantrin. And that's Hrathen looking at Galladon and Raiden.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the first time our Elantrins have had contact with our other antagonists.
Right. Yeah. One of the other lines when it's at the very end of chapter 6 and Hrathen is talking to Delof about how they're going to like, take over everybody. And he's like, okay, here's how we're going to convince everybody. Right now, all they see is the abject remnants of what were once aristocrats. Men do not loathe such; they pity them. So it's like right now they just see Elantrians as like rich people who have fallen. And then he goes on, demons, however, are something everyone can hate. If we denounce the Elantrians as devils, then we will have success. You already hate the Elantrians, that's fine. To make others join you, however, you'll have to give them more of a reason than they disappointed us. So it kind of goes on to what we were talking about earlier of like, you need one way to unify people is to really demonize another group and then like unite around that hate.
Yes.
And he's really doing it. But there's one line that Delof said, I think in this chapter, where Hrathen is like, okay, we need to convert the whole country and then Jadis will come back. And Delof is like, well, you could also just kill everybody and then everyone would be the religion because it'd just be us. I was like, oh. And Hrathen is like, oh. Never thought of it like that before.
I was like, that is an option.
I guess that also gets to the same end.
So what do you think of Hrathen? Do you think he's a good guy or bad guy?
I think he's a misguided guy. Delof, I would say, well, he's also misguided, but I have more sympathy for Hrathen than I do Delof.
Yeah.
It seems like, this is what Hrathen believes is the right thing to do, and he's on this mission. He's like, all right, I just need to do my mission, do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it seems like Hrathen's trying to make lemonade out of lemons, and Delof is like, let's just burn the whole thing.
Destroy everyone. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Hrathen?
I think he is a neutral person. I think he's just a normal person who's given something very difficult and he's trying to do the best he can with what he's got. And sometimes he makes some bad decisions.
Yeah.
Sometimes he makes some good ones. So I don't think he's either. I think he's just kind of more neutral.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 2 more chapters. We've been going 2 hours. How long has it been?
It's been about an hour.
Has it been 2 hours? Oh, okay. I'll stop going so slow and we'll just speed through chapter 7 and 8. What do you think?
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
I like it. Okay, so back to Raiden, and now he's doing magic. And it's not going very well. Well, it's kind of going well, but nothing's working.
Yep.
And what else happens in this chapter?
So one of the things that I thought was interesting here is that Raiden talks about how the Elantrins were very secretive about their magic. They didn't let people know how easy it was.
Oh, okay.
And one of my thoughts is that had the Elantrins been more generous with their knowledge, that maybe there would be someone alive who could help them.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because all the knowledgeable Elantrins got murdered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was kind of like their own hubris of, I think, again, with that duality of like us versus them, the Elantrins underestimated the regular people of the country, felt like they couldn't help them at all. So they didn't entrust them with any of their secrets.
Right.
And so now they're paying the price for their own hubris, basically.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's also interesting in this book how since there are so many different storylines going on in different countries and stuff, that you're kind of seeing every part of the cycle. And so you're seeing the current rich class and they're thriving. Then you're also seeing the previous rich class and they've already been, destroyed. And then you see someone coming in who's about to destroy the current rich class. And so you can kind of already see where the circle.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing too is that even if the Elantrians had given the plebs the knowledge and the information, it's not clear if they would have helped them or not. Because one of the lines that I pulled out was the powerful in Arleon are much too comfortable with Elantris the way it is. Basically meaning that people with power or privilege never willingly give it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because they wouldn't be powerful if everyone had the power.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, they'd be regulars again.
yeah. So Elantrians, you can just learn your way to be an Elantrian. You're not born into it. Like when Elantris was powerful.
You would just one day you just wake up and you're an Elantrin.
Okay.
And then you'd go to the city and you had people who already knew how to do stuff, and then they would teach you all the secrets.
Okay, so it was always this like random lottery thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, and then they see everyone on the wall, and so now everyone's kind of like intersecting.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so Galladon and Raoden, they're seeing Hrathen give his hate speech, and they're
Right.
like, okay, it's going down. Like they're basically Galladon's like, I'm surprised it took them this long to decide to all put their laser at us and try to come get us,
Right. Okay. And then the last thing in this chapter is a new person comes and Raoden's like, I'm going to make him part of our group. And so then he kind of like rescues him in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Raoden's trying to build his own fourth gang effectively.
Right. Yeah. Do you think if Raoden had told people he was actually Prince, they'd believe him? Do you like his idea to stay secret?
Oh, yeah. So that's another good point. This is where Raoden, he decides to go into secret, and now his Elantrin name is now Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what he's called now. His Elantrin version is Spirit. His human version is Raoden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whenever you have classes in society and you have some people that benefit and some people that do not benefit, that are actively hurt by those classes, I think that letting yourself known that you were one of the benefiters is probably not a good idea. You know, because even if he didn't directly do something, I could see people being like, you lived a life of luxury, like you did this, like your family taxed me so that I lost everything or whatever it was. I could see that going poorly for him.
Right. I think it was a wise move. Yeah. That was my thought.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to chapter 8.
Chapter 8, let's take us home.
Woo-hoo. Okay, so back to Serene. Here she's painting in the castle now. So again, she found her way to stay inside. So I thought that was funny. I feel like thinking about characters, I'm still pretty early in the book, so I'm like excited to see like how all the characters develop. But I guess like Hrathen and Delof, it's like, oh, well, they clearly have these faults. But also it's like, but maybe they're just trying to do, especially Hrathen, like trying to do their mission. And it seems like Serene and maybe Raoden too, but Serene especially doesn't seem to really have many faults, other than like she doesn't laugh at herself and she's not good at painting. I was like, oh, yeah, that's it. So I'm sure something will come up.
I think that is a flaw with Sanderson. A lot of times he writes these protagonists as like perfect beings.
Okay.
And I almost feel like that goes back to his Mormon perspective, because in the Mormon religion, it's like you try to become like a perfect, faultless person on earth.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
And I mean, they do make a few fumbles here and there, but they're not nearly as multifaceted, I think, as Hrathen and Delof.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. They're a little bit more one note. I think that's a fair critique.
Okay. All right. So I guess there's not a lot of development coming.
So one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that there was a peasant brought to Galladon, and basically these two noblemen are fighting over the peasant.
Yeah.
because he ran away and then he had kids at the other nobleman's house. And so they're like, the first guy's like, he's my peasant. I want him back. And I want his kids. And the other guy's like, I've been taking care of them. He's my peasant now. And so Iodin comes up with the great solution to give the peasant back to the original owner and then leave his children with the new owner
The
since he's been
worst
taking care of them.
conclusion ever for this poor
Yeah.
man.
Yes. And one of the things that I wrote is that people treated slaves as subhuman and justified that they didn't care about their children
Right.
because of like lack of emotion. So like when the peasant hears it, he doesn't even react because he's been just so beaten down.
Yeah.
And so I think people would be like, oh, look, they're not even having a human reaction. Like we're putting their kids over there and he's not even putting up a fight. But I just commented that with enough abuse, people for self-preservation stop reacting, but not because of lack of ability.
Right. Yeah. Man, yeah, that was a sad, sad moment.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that within 10 years since Elantris has fallen, they're reverting back to slavery, which feels a little too fast.
So they didn't have slaves before? Is that a line?
No.
They say that?
They had slaves like a long time ago. It'd be like the US.
Oh,
Like if our government fell and then within 10 years we are back to slavery.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really
Which, I mean, maybe that is realistic. I don't know.
No. But yeah, I mean, that is interesting. I wonder, I don't know how King Galladon is gonna develop either. Maybe he also doesn't. Maybe it's also kind of like one-dimensional of like just a merchant who's really good, very economical. But maybe that's kind of part of it of like the merchant class is what came to power. And it's like, well, this is the most economic thing to do, like having only money and no morals kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point, that this might be a critique of capitalism.
Yeah.
In its extreme form.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah.
Not a good day.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's interesting too, thinking back to like the servant uprising of like maybe they were servants and not slaves, but maybe they really were treated the same still. And how like if that goes on for generations, then you kind of have like a generational buildup of like anger and wanting to revolt, and so maybe that's also why the revolt bled into everybody.
You see, that sounds more believable to me than, because I mean they did call them servants, so maybe that's part of it too. But I'm thinking if you're like someone who's paid to do a service, like you're not gonna start killing everyone just because Elantris falls. But if you are paid horribly and treated like crap for years and years and years, the second you have an opportunity to take some power, you take it.
Right.
So
yeah,
I could get that. So one of the notes that I put here is that Fjorden instigated the fall of the Galladon Republic. That's a fourth country. It's very small, and it is in between Arleon, the Aryan country where Serene is now princess, and the Fjorden country across the mountain range. So this is just saying that Fjorden is right at their doorstep now.
Okay. And is
that's it.
Oh, is Duladel where Galladon is from?
Yes, and Galladon is originally from Duladel.
Okay. All right, just making some connections.
Okay. And then this is where we hear Hrathen's hate speech.
Right, that was a good moment.
Not because of the hate speech, but because Serene interrupts it and derails it.
Yeah,
just to clarify.
That's when I started liking Serene. I was like, she's pretty okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So I didn't have a lot of notes here. This was more of just kind of like facts. There wasn't anything. Oh, one thing that I noticed. So when Serene's looking at Raoden and Galladon, she said, they, being Elantrians, may not move much, but they obviously aren't dead. Look at the ones that are standing. And I feel like that represents like the default is to not believe that people are subhuman because Serene has
Yeah.
never seen Elantrins before. And so she's like, they're not dead. They're people, clearly.
Yeah.
But
That's
after
interesting.
enough time and conditioning, you get to a point where you're like, oh, they're not people. They're cursed. They're this, they're that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. There Serene goes again. Perfect character.
I know. I
Perfect
know.
morals. But no, I think
I
that
know.
that is a good point of like if you're to drop someone in this place, what kind of
hmm
ideals and morals and values would they have?
Exactly. Okay, so that wraps up this long session. Give me your initial thoughts.
Okay, so this was very helpful. I'm glad at first I was like, oh man, I want to keep reading. But I was like, okay, I'll wait until we talk. But I'm glad we had our conversation because now I understand things a lot better. So that's really good.
hmm
I'm
Good.
also realizing I think like, there's like different ways to read different books. And I think
hmm
part of, I don't know, this book has like a lot going on, so it's kind of hard to like really grasp
Yeah.
everything. But I think also like I haven't read a fantasy book in a long time. And
hmm
so I think this was helpful in like how I will change how I read the rest of this fantasy book, of like it's not
hmm
just about a fantasy world, but actually it's also about our world,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I like to read fantasy books. Um, yeah, obviously. That's why I talked about it for so long.
I think that's a good way though. Because it's not, because I mean you can learn something about like life or yourself in like anything, right? And so
Yeah.
this is no different.
Yeah. And this is just Sanderson's interpretation of
Right,
how he sees this is effectively how he sees the world.
right. Yeah. This
I'm
starts
assuming.
conversation.
Right, right. And so some of the things that he says I don't necessarily agree with, but
Right.
I do think he is a very smart, knowledgeable person. So I do think he brings up some interesting points that we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really liked it. I'm excited to read more of it. Um, I don't really have any like, some of my predictions. Well, okay, so Serene is definitely going to
hmm
find out that Raoden is in Elantris.
Okay.
And then they're going to team up together and
Okay.
I don't know, overthrow Galladon, maybe stop Brathen from doing his thing. I don't think they're going to overthrow
So,
Galladon.
so if Serene and Raoden, the prince and princess, if they meet up, is she going to be okay with him being a sickly corpse
Yeah.
like Gus? She's going to be into it like Gus.
I don't think, well, into it is a strong word for sickly corpse, but that sounds illegal.
Old necrophilia.
Yeah, I don't. Serene's a perfect character. She wouldn't be into that, but I
That's
think
her wrinkle.
we all gotta have the one flaw.
You gotta have one flaw. Her flaw is that she likes corpse.
Necrophilia.
Necrophilia. Yeah.
What a
Okay.
twist!
Red flag or deal breaker?
Oh my gosh, you're into necrophilia? Like, go to jail.
They
What would
don't
they do
act
for
on
you?
it.
Say what?
They don't act on it. They don't act on it, but they love it.
Ooh.
I
Um,
agree. Deal breaker.
yeah. Okay, but what if they're like actively trying to not love it, but they can't help themselves, they just love it.
I can't be around that. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't do bedroom stuff pretending to be a corpse.
Oh, it'd be so easy.
Ooh.
Gross. All right, yeah,
Okay,
so it's not
so do you think Raoden figures out how to get the magic working?
that. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think Hrathen makes it out alive?
Rathen makes out of like the entire story alive.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I mean, he's not going to be successful in converting the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think he's going to be alive. I didn't think he'd die.
Okay. Do you think Serene and Raoden are going to make it?
Alive?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're the main characters.
Okay. King Iadon.
Yeah, who would write the 3 chapters if they all die?
Okay.
Okay, King Iodin. He won't be king by the end.
Okay.
Maybe he'll die. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not very good as king, so
No.
probably for the best. Let me see what else. I had one. Oh, what do you think is going to happen with Delof and Hrathen?
Ugh. So like in the near future or by the end of the book?
Both,
I don't know.
either.
Okay. Wow. I think Delof will continue being a faithful servant to Hrathen because that's his lot, and he's going to do it faithfully, even if he doesn't like it. So I think that'll happen. I don't know. Or I could see Hrathen, maybe some weird power dynamic happens and Delof kind of starts gaining more power. Maybe that can happen. Yeah. I don't know. I guess what else? Well, they need some new tactics to try to win over the town because Plan A didn't work.
Now it's time to kill them all. Delof's way.
Yeah, I think Delof is going to keep suggesting that until it is their only option. It's going to be 2 months and 29 days. And we're like, okay.
He's like, all right. He's like, we gave your hate speech a try. They didn't hate it. So that's it. Let's kill them all.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay. Good stuff. So when we meet up next time, we'll do probably another 100 pages or whatnot. So that'll probably be about 10 chapters or so, or 8 chapters.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little further. We could do it in 3s, maybe. Do 3 parts.
This session was so long.
I know. We couldn't spend as much time on each chapter.
There's so much to cover.
We'll
feel it out.
Okay.
We'll feel it out.
That sounds good.
That's it for this very, very long call. So are you feeling pretty good? How would you rate the book so far?
Oh, book so far? I like it. It really kept my interest. Maybe 7 out of 10.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your rating?
I mean, I picked it, so I liked it. What did I give Fault in Our Stars? 5, 6? Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. It's pretty good.
Okay, so your 6 out of 10 is pretty good.
I would say so.
Okay.
7. I'm just saying, like, we're looking at each other's books about the same. I think that's a nice even balance.
Yeah. But hearing you talk about it made me like the book more. So maybe next time it'll be an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how you pick up the rest of the book now that we've kind of talked about it and got like a foundation for the plot and what's going to happen.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
All right. Cool stuff. See you next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.